Oh, damn it. That just sounded really expensive. So, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the shop. On this episode, we are going to fix the miss on the Sub 100. So, with a lot of the 5.3s and the Suburbans and trucks and Tahoes and things like that, a lot of them end up with a dead cylinder miss. And I kind of went through every scenario trying to solve the problem until we actually got rid of the problem. So, in this episode, we're going to kind of go over all the steps I took, and maybe it'll help you guys know what to look for or what to do or where to start. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Go check out our website we got up at ftpspeedshop.com. Get yourself a hat, a shirt, koozie, stickers, things like that. Help support the channel. So let's see if we can get this miss taken care of. Alright guys, so I'm going to give you a quick rundown of everything I did to try to fix the miss, and not all of it worked. In fact, none of it worked but one thing, and I will go over that right now. So to start off, we checked all the codes, we kind of figured out what issues we might have had going on. I'd done a little bit of research and had seen that an O2 sensor could cause a very similar problem to what I was having. So I went ahead and unplugged the O2 sensor. We pulled it up on HP tuners and saw that one O2 sensor wasn't switching the way it should. It was kind of just stuck. So we unplugged that and to try to get it into open loop situation. It did not make a difference. It still had a miss to it. We used HP tuners to turn injectors off to try to isolate the dead cylinder. And the weird thing is you shut off injector 4 and the motor would start. The motor wouldn't change at all. No misses, nothing. Every other cylinder, you shut off the injector on and it would miss. So we kind of thought that 4 was going to be our bad cylinder. So that was where we first started. We pulled the plugs out. We checked for spark, pulled the plugs out, and all the plugs were good except for cylinder 6. So cylinder 6 was now our new culprit for the dead cylinder. We did a compression test across the board. The compression test came out the highest on the cylinder that was dead, so then I thought maybe we might have a flat cam or some other sort of valve train issue. Although we didn't have any valve train noise at all, it was a very quiet motor. So we pulled the valve cover off and just watched the rocker arms and made sure they moved. They all moved as they should. The motor actually looked really clean inside, so I was pretty excited about that. So we didn't have a flat cam. Then I ohmed out the injectors, and all the injectors were good except for 6, and it was still within spec. It was just quite a bit higher than the rest of them. So I went ahead and swapped that out with another injector I had laying around on another 5.3 intake. That did not fix the problem. Went back and checked coil packs and swapped the coil packs around. Still didn't fix the problem, still was throwing misfires on cylinder 6. And so then I just started playing with the wiring harness and couldn't get it to, I was wiggling wires and couldn't get it to stop missing. And I was actually unplugging them and plugging them back in and got the camera out, and it wasn't changing anything while it was running. Got the camera out, and as soon as I unplugged number 6, it started missing again. So what we determined was actually the problem, and we tried to recreate it and wiggle the wires and pull in the wires, and we could not get it to miss again. So what we kind of determined, or I think was the issue, is there was probably a little bit of corrosion built up on one of those plugs, or the pins in the plugs or something. And as I was plugging it in and plugging it out and plugging it in and plugging it out, it cleaned the clip up, or the plug or the connection, scraped off any corrosion on there, and it runs as it should. We've put 1,500, 1,700 miles on it since then, and it works perfect. Haven't had an issue with it. So that's kind of the quick down and dirty of what we did. And if you want to stay tuned and watch the rest of the show, I kind of go over what I did, and you can see what it was doing. So let's roll into the video. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to want to do here is just go ahead and check the codes that the engine's throwing. So we're going to go ahead and read the check engine codes. And we're throwing a mass air circuit, which, because that was unplugged a while ago and it never cleared it out. Injector circuit pending. Random misfire, a PO300. Evaporative emission system vent control, fuel level sensor circuit high. That's because I tapped into the fuel level for the gauge, probably. Engine oil pressure sensor switch low. So that's interesting. That actually, I know why that is, because I have a mechanical gauge now, so it's no longer plugged in. So that one's good, that one's good. The evap systems, because it's got a vent. The system's got a vented tank on it, or the gas cap is vented. So we got an injector circuit issue and a random misfire. And I think the mass airflow is because I unplugged it and never cleared it. So that being said, that's where we're going to start looking. Alright guys, I don't know a whole lot of stuff about all this jazz, but what I have been noticing here is that I have a basically cylinder 6. That's where I'm getting most of my misfire from the history. Come over here and I look at the O2 sensor, so that's going to be the bank 2, sensor 1, bank 1, sensor 1, so this is going to be the even number side of the motor, and that does not change that much. If you look, when you're revving it and running it through, and you look at the other side will go down to 18 and go back up to 800, and then the passenger side, or the even numbers, basically just stays pretty consistent. Doesn't go over that 33 number. So what's telling me is oh, it just did a little bit there, but it doesn't go very high compared to the other side. Keeps coming back down to that 33-ish, 38, 48, somewhere in there. So I don't feel like that O2 sensor is really reading a lot. It's kind of stuck. So that would make sense why it smells like it's running rich if it's stuck lean. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is just unplug it and see if that will that'll put the go back to the original computer tune in order to have it run, since it's no longer reading the O2 sensor, and see if that cleans it up. Obviously there's going to be some fouling of the plugs because it is running pig rich right now on that side. So we'll go over in the passenger side and unplug that, and we'll see what it does. Okay, so I have the front O2 sensor unplugged on the passenger side, and we're going to start it and see if it goes into, I might have to drive it, which isn't going to happen tonight, but we're going to see if we can get it to run a little better inside the garage. Still got a little bit of a miss and a shake to it, but actually seems to pull quite a bit cleaner just free revving. Go ahead and put it in gear. Still got a miss. Pretty terrible miss, actually. See, when I turn 4 off, there's no change in the motor. 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 Change in the motor, change in the motor, change in the motor. So I feel like 4 is our dead cylinder. We come over here and I mean we have one misfire in the history, 0 in the current misfire on 4. So 4 is definitely our dead cylinder. So what does that mean? I don't know. I'm not getting any misfire codes. We probably should just pull cylinder 4 out and take a look at the spark plug and probably do a compression check on that. I don't know that the O2 really made a difference. So I think what we're going to do is start trying to diag what's going on with cylinder 4. Hopefully it's not an issue with the head or the cam. Maybe we'll pull the valve cover off and see how the valve train's moving. There's no noise in it, so it doesn't sound like anything's loose in the valve train, but... Alright guys, there's cylinder 4 plug, and to be honest with you, it's not carboned up too bad. It's really clean. I expected it to be pretty carboned up and fouled, but it looks really pretty clean, and it looks like it's been burning good. So yeah, there goes my first idea with the O2 sensors. So we'll keep digging. We'll figure out what the heck the deal is with this thing. We'll get it running right. Okay, so now thinking about that a little bit more, if we've got good spark, I think we'll probably go ahead and do a compression test on it and see how it compares to the cylinder in front of it. But since we have good spark there, it's kind of leaning me towards a fuel issue again. So I'm not sure. I have swapped out the number 4 injector with a different injector and it did not clear up. So I'm not really sure what to do. So I guess at this point I'm going to go ahead and do a leak down test or a compression test and a leak down test and see if possibly maybe it's the worst case scenario, which is internal engine issues. So that means pulling the head off at a minimum, if not replacing the whole motor, which that sounds like poop, because who has money to buy a new motor? Not me. I got all my money in Bitcoin. Oh. Alright guys, one of these is not like the other. Nice and clean, super dirty, nice and clean, nice and clean, nice and clean, nice and clean, nice and clean. I did break that one getting it out. The ratchet slipped and cracked that. So otherwise, all these things are nice and clean. Cylinder 6 is definitely our issue. So that being said, we are going to go after cylinder 6. Probably going to go ahead and test for spark right off the bat just to eliminate that. Do compression tests and all that jazz. I really hope it's something simple like a bad coil pack, because I've got coil packs up there we can use, but let's I guess let's figure it out. I gotta go crank it over. I'm gonna use you guys on YouTube to tell me if it sparks. Actually, I'll go back and look at the footage, but I'm gonna go crank it over and see if we get any spark. There's a lot of sparking everywhere else. And a lot of fuel, a lot of raw fuel coming out of there. Let's go back and look at the tape. Alright, so I reviewed the tape and we did in fact have spark, so poop. I guess what we're going to go ahead and do is I'll probably pull the fuel pump relay so we're not just pumping raw fuel into everything, and we'll go ahead and do a compression check. Ugh. Definitely getting fuel up here though. I mean, I just hit that a few times with the no spark plugs in, and it's quite gassy in here. I wish it could be easy, but unfortunately it's not. So maybe it'll be easy. Maybe it won't be anything really bad. Maybe it'll just be like, oh hey, you have a bad valve. Or maybe bad piston rings, or maybe there's a cracked piston, or it's probably not that bad, but I don't really want to tear into the motor. I think the motor's got 240,000 miles on it, so if we get to that point, I'm probably just going to go ahead and say, let's pull the motor out. Let's go find a 3rd gen 6 liter, throw it in here, get a couple more ponies. We're talking some muscle, and probably do like a truck cam in it so I can keep the converter and not blow up the tranny. Oh, damn it, that just sounded really expensive, so yeah. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and figure out which relay is the fuel pump relay. Go ahead and pull that out. And throw the compression tester on there, and I'll go ahead and compression test the whole passenger side bank and just see what we have for compression on there. If by chance cylinder 6 is super low, then we'll start digging into possibly pop the valve cover off first, see if maybe we've got a flat cam, something like that. I don't hear any valve train noise, but that doesn't necessarily mean there's not a flat cam. So I don't think an O2 sensor is going to fix this one. Wah, wah, wah. Alright, let's get over there to the fuse block and figure out fuel pump relay. Alright, fuel pump relay. Below this this big bastard here, I believe FPMP stands for fuel pump, or pimp, I'm not sure. I unplugged it, turned it on, didn't hear the fuel pump prime, plugged it back in, fuel pump primed, unplugged it again. There we go, fuel pump is disconnected now. So I believe now it's time to hook up the compression tester, and it's always good to do a compression test with none of the spark plugs in so you can get the motor spinning over at a faster speed in order to, I guess, replicate what it'd be like at idle maybe. I have no idea, but that's what I've been told. So I guess now let's dig out the compression tester, and we will do a compression test on the entire passenger side bank. We might just do the whole motor just to see what it's like. And the battery's about dead because it's a pile of garbage, so I'm going to throw a charger on that. And yeah, let's get the compression tester out. Okay, so we just did a compression test on the whole motor. I went ahead and redid the number 2 because we put the battery charger on it, and it came back with the battery charger on at 172, 175. Cylinder 6 is 185, which that's our problem cylinder. 172 for 8. Number 1 is 175. Number 3 is down at 140. I did that one twice, and it came back at 140-ish both times. 180 and 180 for 5 and 7. So we'll go ahead and pull that light off there. I'm not really sure what to make of that. The best compression is the shittiest cylinder, so we'll do a little more digging, see what happens. What's up, guys? Welcome back. It's a new night here in the garage, and I've been racking my head all day long about why does this thing have a dead miss on cylinder 6? Spark plug looks like poop. Compression test, it had the highest compression. It doesn't tick, doesn't make any noise, it just misses. Could it be an injector? Possibly. Or is it a flat cam? I hope not. I'm really leaning towards a flat cam. It would make sense if it would have a better compression than all the other ones, because one of the valves isn't opening, so maybe there's no valve overlap or something. I don't know. So I think I'm just going to go straight after the valve cover. I'm just trying to go kind of diag the easy stuff first and go from there. So let's get this valve cover unburied and get it pulled off. We'll crank the motor over. Air compressor, baby. Anyways, valve cover, let's do it. So it took about 5 minutes to get this valve cover pulled off here. And let me see if I can get my light to work here. And this is going to be cylinder 6. Everything is nice and tight in there. That would make sense. No, we didn't have any valve train noise. It actually looks really surprisingly clean underneath here for being a 240,000 mile vehicle. So that's a positive. So what I'm gonna do is set the camera up here because I'm working in the garage by myself and I don't have any way to crank it over and look at it. So I will set the camera up, crank it over, and we're really hoping to see both of those move, and we want to see all the rockers moving as they should. If not, shit's poop, and means cam's poop. So I guess set the camera up and crank it over. It's fucking awesome. Battery's completely fried. That thing's a piece of shit. So back on the charger, I suppose. All right, let's try it again. What'd you guys see? Was it good? I'm scared to watch it. Oh, well, I'm gonna go back and watch it. All right, guys. Well, did a little more digging, and I went ahead and just went to the injectors. I really did not think it was going to be an injector issue because that would have been too easy to fix. So I went to the injectors and just ohmed each one of them on this side: 12.5, 12.5, 14.35, 12.5. I had another 5.3 intake over here. I just went ahead and ohmed all those out. They were all 12.5, 12.7, pretty much the exact same. So something's up with that injector. It's still within spec, but that injector on that dead cylinder does have an issue. So that other motor was not a flex fuel motor, but for testing purposes, I'm going to steal an injector out of that, throw it in here, see if it runs better. If it does run better, I'll go ahead and get a new flex fuel injector so we can run E85 or whatever we want through here and don't have to worry about it running like poop. So maybe, hopefully, that's the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and get that injector swapped out, get everything buttoned back up. I do have a broken spark plug, and it's too late to go to the parts store, but I think I'll just throw that back in there for the time being. And just remember what cylinder I threw it in, so if I start getting a miss on another cylinder, I can be like, oh, that's a spark plug. So let's get it all put back together. Might even, I'll definitely clean up the cylinder 6 spark plug or swap it with a different location, just so we can see if cylinder 6 is missing or if the miss moves around. So let's get it bolted back up, get it put back together, and yeah, hopefully it's something easy. I'm glad it's not the motor, or at least so far it's not the motor, so that's quality. Yeah. Okay, guys, got it all buttoned back up. We got the bad spark plug over there in cylinder number 3, so we know if a miss moves over there, then hey, it's probably that shitty spark plug. So I'm gonna go ahead and prime the fuel pump a handful of times. Got the relay back in, and just check for leaks on this rail, make sure that all the O-rings fully set and we don't have any, we don't want no fire. So go ahead and set the camera down here. So let's go ahead and turn the battery charger on because this thing sucks, and see about priming that fuel pump. Alright, we went ahead and primed it about 3 times. Everything looks dry, so that's good. We should have good pressure up there. And we'll want to go ahead and keep an eye on that while it's running once we get it started here, just to double check and make sure we don't have any leaks. And I don't know if this battery's got enough balls to start this thing or not. I'm going to go ahead and put it on engine crank mode and give it a crank. Oh yeah, here we go. 200 amps. got a little miss, but no leaks up here, so that's good. I hear a little tick, but I think it's an exhaust leak, just based on the fact that I have a couple broken manifold bolts in there. Okay, well, we need to go hook up some HP tuners on this bad boy and track the miss and see where that's at. So let's jump back in the car. Unfortunately, cylinder 6 and 5 are both showing misfires. It feels a little cleaner than it did last night, but in gear, it doesn't really clean up under load. So cylinder 5 and cylinder 6 are both kind of pooped. Cylinder 3 is running perfect with the broken spark plug, so that's good to know. So I think what I might do now is just try swapping a coil pack, seeing if the miss moves to say cylinder 4. Darn it! I was really hoping I was going to fix it. Nah, fuck it, whatever. We'll go to the next thing. Keep moving, keep looking. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just unbolt coil pack 4, swap it over coil pack 6. I'm just gonna undo the plug wire, undo the clip. Sorry, I'll blind you with the light there. And then undo the two 10mm bolts, swap them over. Okay, so this is interesting to me. When I go in and turn off injector 4 on HP tuners, should be this guy here, it doesn't make a difference in the motor, but when I unplug it out here, it definitely makes a difference. I unplug the coil pack, we get miss. I unplug coil pack on 6, it bogged down a little bit. Well, that's funny that it's actually doing it now, because before it didn't make a damn bit of difference. Alright, well, I guess the camera's good luck, because now all of a sudden it's obviously not missing, and this was dead miss. So I wonder if I don't have a bad connection in here somewhere on either the injector or the coil pack. Definitely missing now. Let's go check out and see what the computer says. Well, that is odd. I don't have any misses now. Now we're clean. So, oh man, that's never actually sounded that good. Seems perfectly fine now. I got 1 on 6. We're registering a few, but all things considered. What's crazy too is the O2 sensor that wasn't working at all yesterday is now switching just perfect. So I don't know what that means for sure. I do know that we no longer have a miss, and the thing's never actually ran this good. And by playing with the coil pack wire plug-in and the injector plug-in, it just completely cleaned itself up. So there are a couple little misfires on cylinder 2, and cylinder 6 still has, what are we at for history? 4 compared to like 4,000, you know what it was before. So it's not missing at all. I think we're going to go ahead and just do a full tune-up on it. We'll get plugs and wires, and then we'll just take it out and drive it for a little bit the rest of the week and just kind of do some data logging, see how it does under load, see how it runs. I'm excited to see what it feels like. And well, I don't know why I always take the long way to things, but it was the simplest thing possible, maybe. I don't know. Looks to be a wire issue at this point, so I need to play around with that a little bit more and see if I can get it to start missing again to locate what the issue was, and then try to figure out if it's a connection at the connector or if it's a broken wire somewhere in the harness, and try to actually solve the problem. Because right now, all I did was wiggle them and then it started running good. So don't know what it is, but hey. Alright guys, so we have been driving the sub 100 for just over a month now with the miss taken care of. It has not come back. It still runs just as it should. That same night when it went away, me and Zach tried to recreate it and pulled on wires and tugged on wires and wiggled clips and could not get it to come back. So what we're kind of leaning towards is we probably had some corrosion on one of the plugs or the clips, and just unplugging them a bunch of times ended up solving the problem. So that's where we're going to take it and leave it, and if it comes back, we'll cut back to it. But sometimes it's the simplest things, which sucks to do all that work, but it is what it is. Hey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Check out our website, get some of our merch, and help support the channel. See you in the next one.